Every night, while the world sleeps under warm blankets, a small puppy curls up outside the doors of a hospital. No leash, no owner, no home, just him, lying there on the freezing pavement, eyes fixed on the hospital entrance like he's waiting for someone. The cold doesn't scare him. The dark doesn't stop him. He's there when the moon rises, and still there when the sun comes up. Doctors walk past him. Nurses notice him. Some try to feed him, some try to move him. But he always comes back. Same spot, same time, night after night. But what is he waiting for? And why does he refuse to leave? At first, people thought he was just a stray, a lost puppy with nowhere to go. Some felt bad, others didn't think much of it. After all, in a big city, strays are not a rare sight. But then, something felt different. This little dog wasn't wandering around looking for food. He didn't bark. He didn't chase cars. He just waited. Still, quiet, focused, as if he knew exactly why he was there. Every time the hospital doors opened, he would lift his head. Every time someone walked out, his eyes would search. And every time it wasn't who he was waiting for, he'd lower his head again, back to waiting. Security guards tried to chase him off at first. They worried for his safety. The cold nights were dangerous, but he didn't run far. The moment they turned around, he came right back. A few kind nurses started leaving out scraps of food. Someone gave him a small blanket. They even gave him a name. Hope. Because somehow that's exactly what he carried in his eyes. Still, no one really knew why he was there. Until one nurse, Maria, started thinking back. She had seen this puppy before, not outside, but inside the hospital. It was weeks ago. There had been a terrible accident. A young boy, just 10 years old, was brought in, hit by a speeding car while crossing the road. Critical condition, unconscious. His clothes were torn, and beside him, barking and crying, was a small puppy. That same puppy, Hope. Maria remembered the scene clearly now. The ambulance doors closing, the puppy running after it, refusing to let it leave without him. She hadn't thought about it since that night. But now, she realized something that made her heart sink. Absolutely, the boy never made it. Despite the doctors trying everything, despite hours in surgery, his injuries were just too severe. The hospital did all they could, but they couldn't save him. The news shattered the boy's family, and the entire medical team felt the weight of the loss. But in the chaos, no one thought about the puppy. No one asked where he went. No one told him what had happened, and how could they? He was just a puppy. But to him, that boy wasn't just anyone. He was his whole world. The puppy didn't understand life or death. All he knew was his best friend had walked into that hospital and never came back out. So he waited. Every single night, he came back. Same spot, same position, right outside the sliding doors of the hospital. The cold didn't stop him. The rain couldn't scare him. Even snow didn't make him leave. He never barked. He never made a scene. He just lay there, quiet, still, watching, waiting. Some of the staff started noticing. They brought him food, water, even a small blanket. A few of the night shift nurses gave him a name. Hope, because even though he had lost everything, he still believed. He still hoped that his friend would return. More people started asking about him, strangers, visitors, even passers-by. What's with the dog, they'd say. And then someone would tell them the story. Hope wasn't just a stray anymore. He became something bigger, a little symbol of loyalty, of love, and heartbreak. The hospital staff started taking care of him like he was part of the team. Guards would check on him every night. Someone always made sure he had a warm place to sleep. Even local residents brought treats or warm clothes to lay under him. People offered to adopt him. Some tried to take him home, but he'd always come back. No matter where he was taken, he'd find his way back to the hospital, because that was the last place he saw the boy. And in his little heart, he still believed they'd meet again. It had been months. Winter was slowly fading. The sun had started showing up a little earlier. The wind wasn't quite as cruel. But hope was still there, in the same spot, in the same silence, waiting. His fur looked a little thicker now. He had grown, not just in size, but in spirit. There was something gentle about him, something wise, as if he knew something most of us forget, how to love without conditions. Some took pictures, others simply placed a hand on his head, feeling something they couldn't explain. Hospitals are full of heartbreak, but hope brought comfort. He reminded people that love doesn't just disappear. Then one afternoon, something changed. A family walked out of the hospital. A little girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, was in the middle. She was thin, pale. Her head was bald, wrapped in a soft pink scarf. She had just won a battle most kids should never have to fight: cancer. Her parents were holding her hands, smiling with tears in their eyes. They were walking out, as a family, stronger than ever. As they reached the exit, the little girl stopped. She looked to the side and saw him. Hope was lying in his usual spot, eyes half closed, head resting on his paws. Their eyes met, and something happened. She slowly let go of her parents' hands and walked toward him. Step by step, quiet, calm, like she had done it before in another life. Hope didn't move. He just looked up at her, with eyes full of softness. She knelt beside him and hugged him, like he had always belonged to her, like they had known each other forever. No barking, no jumping, just stillness and connection. Her parents were stunned. The nurses watching from the lobby couldn't believe what they were seeing. Even the security guard, tough as he was, turned away to hide his tears. The girl looked up at her mom and dad. "Can we take him home?" she whispered. Her voice was quiet, but her heart was loud. They looked at each other and nodded. Just like that, Hope had a new home. He didn't resist. He didn't look back at the hospital, as if he finally understood. The one he had waited for wasn't coming back, but someone else needed him now, and he was ready. The hospital staff gathered outside to say goodbye. He had become part of their lives, their nights, their hearts. But they knew this was right. Hope had given so much love to a boy who was gone. Now it was time to give that love to someone who was still here. The little girl named him Lucky. But to the hospital staff, to the people who knew his story, he would always be Hope. He now sleeps in a warm bed, curled up beside someone who hugs him tight every night. He plays in a sunny backyard. He runs with joy instead of wading in sorrow. But every now and then, he stops and looks at the horizon, not because he's lost, but because he remembers. And in that memory, there is no pain, only love. Some stories are too simple to be noticed. A dog, a hospital, a cold night. Most people would walk past it without ever knowing what it meant. But if you stop, if you really look, you'll see something far bigger than a puppy lying on a sidewalk. You'll see loyalty. You'll see love. You'll see the kind of heart that doesn't ask for anything in return. Just a presence. Just a reunion. Just a moment. Hope didn't have a voice. He didn't speak our language. He never told anyone what he was feeling. But he didn't have to. Because sometimes silence speaks the loudest. He didn't blame anyone. He didn't lash out. He didn't run away. He simply waited. Because love doesn't give up just because the world does. In that puppy's eyes, there was no time, no logic, no moving on. There was only memory, only devotion, only the belief that love doesn't just disappear behind a set of hospital doors. And maybe that's why his story touches so many people, because deep down we all want to be loved like that, without questions, without conditions, without deadlines. We all want to matter to someone so much that even if we're gone, a piece of their heart keeps showing up for us. Hope didn't understand loss. He didn't know about funerals or farewells. He only knew that his friend had vanished. And so he waited in the place he was last seen, day after day, night after night, with nothing but trust in his heart. And the world moved around him. Cars passed, seasons changed, people came and went. But he stayed, because somewhere in his little heart, he believed that maybe, just maybe, if he waited long enough, he'd see that little boy again. And even though that reunion never happened the way he hoped, something beautiful came from it. Another child, broken in her own way, found the healing she didn't know she needed. They found each other not in perfection, but in pain, not in timing, but in connection. And that's what makes this story matter. Not the heartbreak, not the cold nights, not even the loss, but the hope that kept showing up, no matter how many nights it took. The silent message that said, "I'm here, I haven't forgotten, I still care." Hope reminded everyone who saw him what love
not
is supposed
proud,
to look like.
just patient, just present, just faithful. He didn't need fancy collars or toys. He didn't need a big house or shiny bowls. All he wanted was someone to return, to walk out those doors and see him again. But life had other plans. And sometimes life doesn't give us what we want. It gives us what someone else needs. Hope's love didn't go to waste. It simply changed direction. And in doing so, it saved someone else. That's the kind of love this world needs more of. Quiet love, unshakable love, love that doesn't leave when things get hard, love that waits, even when there's no guarantee. And maybe we can all learn something from that little dog, to love a little deeper, to stay a little longer, to care a little more, even when it's inconvenient, to be there for someone, even if they can't come back. Hope didn't choose to be a hero. He didn't know he was teaching the world something. But he did, without saying a word, without asking for anything. He just showed up, night after night. So if you ever feel forgotten, if you ever feel like love is one-sided, or that your kindness doesn't matter, remember hope. Remember that sometimes love doesn't need to be understood. It just needs to be felt and shared and never given up on. Maybe the world is a little cold sometimes. Maybe we don't always get the ending we want, but love, like hopes, it doesn't vanish. It just finds a new path, a new heart, a new reason to keep going. And in that way, Hope never really left that hospital. He just took everything he felt and gave it to someone who needed it most. That's the kind of story worth remembering, the kind that doesn't fade with time, the kind that lives on. Not in headlines, but in hearts.